What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today we're going to be taking a look at another inexpensive knife that I like. This is an unnamed Kershaw model, the 1336WM. This is one of those that comes in a Walmart 2-pack. The 2-pack for this knife is no longer available. It ran, you can still look it up on Walmart. It says $17.76, this and another Kershaw. I did find one of these on eBay brand new for 12 bucks plus shipping, so we'll call it 15 bucks. So $15 knife here. I'm going to do the hinder comparison first, just to give a look here. There's your size. Looks like the blade is going to be around, let's try and get it pivot to pivot here. Blade's going to be around 3 inches, and overall is probably under 7. This is an interesting knife. This is another one of Terry's knives, and if you've watched some of my other videos, he submitted one of the last, or the last 2-pack Kershaw. I still haven't done the other knife that came in that 2-pack. But this is an interesting knife, and got to playing with it a little bit here. We'll show it on both sides. It's got a fairly beefy steel frame lock. Hard to see the engagement there because it's black. And then it actually has a thick, this isn't G10, it's got a thick plastic front. And then it's got a liner underneath, which I love. I think that's awesome. So that's really nice to see in the construction of a knife that's so inexpensive. You have kind of a saber ground drop point here that for its size is pretty thick down to the tip. So that's kind of nice to see. And then you've got an open back with a plastic backspacer here that doubles as the lanyard hole. So that's interesting. You have a little bit of traction here, not much. This center piece right here is kind of a peel ply texturing. And then you have these, kind of diagonal lines, but they offer a little bit of traction. Unfortunately, there's no jimping on the top, which is okay. I really wish that, almost all knives should have some kind of, texturing up here at the top of the frame, or, on the blade, or have a ramp. If this had a ramp, that would just be excellent. But, no big deal. This is an inexpensive knife. We've got a pocket clip here that's pretty classic for Kershaw. It's a semi-deep carry. The design is a deep carry clip, but you're still going to have some of this sticking out in your pocket. And then, this is the way on a lot of knives that don't have a dedicated over travel stop for the lock bar. The pocket clip sits halfway on the frame, and the other side of the pocket clip actually engages the lock bar as you're disengaging it, which doesn't completely prevent it from over traveling and bending out, but it does provide some form of stop, so that's pretty nice. The blade isn't perfectly centered, but it doesn't rub. You can see here on the blade we don't have rub marks, so that's pretty nice. There is no horizontal blade play whatsoever. There's a little bit of side-to-side blade play, but that you might be able to fix that with a pivot. And the reason that I say that is because this, let me show this. So this speed safe is really strong. It starts here. The spring all the way down there. That is a really, really tough or springy torsion bar in there. So it's going to fire out no matter what. That's pretty much the case with all of these. I'm just going to push down as light as I can. Yeah, it's going no matter what. So that's pretty cool. But there's no way that that's going to come out. I just realized how ridiculous that probably looked. There's no way that that's going to shake out. And I think that's great. There's only one pocket clip position for this. This is tip up right hand, which is the way that I prefer it. So, of course, I'm going to be biased towards that. But this is great. I really, really like when they do these backspacers that double as the lanyard hole. This is a nice wide lanyard hole. You can get a lanyard if you really want to. If you can get a lanyard in here, and it's not going to be awkwardly positioned. It's got its own little spot right here that's part of the back. And I like that. I wish that was, Hinder has that HMBS, I think is what they call it, and you can create your lanyard hole like that. I don't mind the position, you know, how it is like this, but I don't know. It's pretty close to the blade. I don't think a lanyard's really going to cause a problem, but it's more for aesthetic purposes. I really enjoy how this is set up. Let's talk about screws here. I really like when they do the female end of the pivot on the show side, and then you've got the adjustment end on the frame lock side. Now these have screws that come into the center here. Yeah, that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I always like to see it go all the way through if it's steel on steel. But there's only 4 body screws total, and I couldn't imagine that those screws would be very difficult to replace if you, for whatever reason, lost one. So that's no big deal. It is, you know, fairly open body, so it's going to be easy to clean out. You've got a pretty attractive, and you're going to see black wash or acid wash on a lot of, you know, inexpensive knives, some mid-range knives. You're going to see it on high-end production. You're going to see it on ultra high-end production. You're going to see it on mid-tech, and you're going to see it on custom. I mean, it's one of the most widely used finishes. So, you know, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. It gives this kind of an, you know, apocalyptic, dug it out of the earth look. And, you know, that's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. It's certainly going to hide scratches pretty well. It already kind of looks beat up, so you know, if you enjoy that, then I think you're going to enjoy this. But this is a stout, inexpensive little flipper assisted opening knife. And while I still wouldn't consider it hard use, it certainly does feel substantial in hand for it being pretty light. Let me pick up the hinder again. So my hinder weighs like 6.5 ounces, which is way outside of the range for light for a lot of people. I don't notice it. This has got to weigh somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 3, maybe 3.5. So not heavy at all. It's certainly going to be easy to get in and out of your pocket. And of course, the usual, you know, if I'm going to show it here, might as well do it. So there it is in the pocket. You can see I just put it in one hand. Pull it out. It's got that nice divot right there. Deploy it. Put it away. Put it back in the pocket, one hand, no problem. So that's my general test. If I can do that, then I consider it a good knife, as long as it doesn't have the back and forth blade play. Blade steel on this, I have no idea. I couldn't find any information on it. You know, it might be 420J, it might be 7CR17, it might be 3CR13. Those are all budget steels, but the way that this blade is designed, you know, it's going to be pretty easy to resharpen it, you know, strop it or whatever. It's probably going to be a little bit thicker behind. I don't know. The blade stock's not that thick. The problem is that this thing looks stubby, so it appears to be thicker than it actually is. I imagine that's a 0.11 stock, something like that. But, you know, they don't actually start dropping it towards the cutting edge until about right here. You know, so it's still going to be pretty thin. I mean, it's definitely gonna. I mean, you can get it sharp and it's going to cut, definitely. But you know, I don't know if you're looking at a stainless steel. I don't know if you're looking at a non-stainless steel. That's the issue. As far as, you know, how often that might look like oxidization there, but it's not. I think it's just kind of, you know, finger oil or some kind of gunk, but it hasn't. You know, the blade, I don't know how long Terry has had this, but the actual cutting edge doesn't show any signs of oxidization yet, so I don't know. I would say, you know, if you have this, or if you want to purchase this on the secondary market, because I don't think this is one of those obscure Kershaws where you can't just go order it whenever you want. It's one of those cheapies that usually is a good purchase. And if you want one now, you're going to have to purchase it on the secondary market. But I like to show these inexpensive ones, because I know that in fact, very few people are going to shell out $425 for a hinderer, or, you know, especially $625 for a hinderer with a titanium scale. And that's, you know, that's way outside of the ball. Most people won't spend $100 on a folding knife. And I get that, you know. I started with folding knives like this and graduated up to $40, $50 knives and so on and so forth. So I started there. The issue is that I didn't have, when I started doing this, I wasn't watching YouTube and you know, kind of gaining everybody else's opinion and learning. So I went through tons of crap tons of knives that I thought, you know, this is good, but it's inexpensive, and I wasted tons and tons and tons of money, you know, getting up to what I consider to be a quality folder. And so I like to show, now that I've gotten my hands on, you know, 60 or 70 folding knives that were quality, I like to show these inexpensive ones that I consider to be good inexpensive purchases versus bad ones, so that hopefully I can maybe help a few people out in making a better choice if you only have $10, $20, $30, $40 to spend. In this case, $15. So that's pretty much it. But I think this would make a great light use EDC option, and you know, the aesthetics are going to appeal to people. This is a nice classic shape of folding knife. By the way, ergonomically, you know, I talked about this. There's no ramp here, so this is not going to feel great. There's no real security up here. You can't really, if your hands are like mine, you're not really going to get a full purchase on this knife, because this flipper tab here stops you. You know, if I could put my hands here, then yeah, you get a full purchase on this smaller knife, but you can't really. Your pinky's going to fall off the end. It's not too bad. I mean, the handle shape is still going to allow you to grab onto it, and your fingers locking into this peel ply texture right here is still going to provide a little bit. It doesn't really matter, though, because you're not really, this isn't the type of knife you're going to be forcing into heavy material. So that's pretty much it today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. If you want to check out my other content, I've got lots of other stuff, inexpensive and expensive folders that I do and don't like, so please check that out. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe. So that's it, guys. Thanks, and have a great day.